Hello, I'm Kate Davis, and this is Humor in the C-Suite, a show about how leaders use humor to create an extraordinary work culture. Hi, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Humor in the C-Suite. My guest this week is Melissa Hurley, VP of Learning and People Development at the Bill Gosling Outsourcing. She is not your typical corporate leader. With a global outreach across 4 continents, she is on a mission to make leadership and people development accessible and a little bit more fun. In the world of global contact centers, look, with over 15 years experience spanning financial services, operations, sales, and people development, Melissa has navigated high-stakes environment with both grit, grace, and I might say humor. She has 2 kids, a dog, a husband. What? I know. We actually met at a leadership development weekend, which was military style, called Outside the Wire, where I even learned to shoot a gun. We have so many stories to tell you, and I can't wait. So please welcome Melissa Hurley. Mel, welcome to Humor in the C-Suite.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
I thought we would just start off by telling everyone how we met and sort of some context about what you do with your company and who you guys are.
Yeah, so I'll do the formal stuff, right? So Melissa Hurley, I'm Vice President of Learning and People Development. I work with Bill Gosling Outsourcing. I've been with them for just under 5 years. And really, I'm responsible for the learning and content development strategy on a global basis. So we're in 7 different regions across the world, which gives me exposure to learning about different cultures and backgrounds. And really, I get to travel around the world every single day, from UK to India to the Philippines. And, you know, it's I get to do that world tour on a regular basis. And I absolutely love what I do. How we met was actually part of the people development side of things that I work on, which is all things leadership development. And I've been recently working with the Gasparotto Group on creating a senior manager, director style, kind of that middle senior manager type of learning program. It runs for about 5 days, between 5 days or 2.5 and 5 days, I should say. Depending on how much we want to squeeze in. But we do a little bit of a modification of the trust building camp, and I'll talk more about that in a second because you've experienced that.
Yeah,
but yes, not a modification version of that. So how you and I met was we met doing Outside the Wire with Gasparotto, and that is a full-fledged
military exercise.
Yeah, it is. I learned a lot about myself personally and professionally through that experience, I have to say, but what a time that was. What a time.
It's interesting because I don't know about you, but I've never even held a gun. So we were doing this military, it was like an escape room, but military style.
Like a full 3-day simulation, eh?
Yeah, it's a 3-day simulation where we actually had to pretend we got operative news, and we had to break into a house and there was bomb building material there. And then we had to go in the field, which I did not like, guys. I'm not going to lie. Grass as tall as me, uneven ground. I'm like, where's my Uber and my Starbucks? I don't think I'd do well in war. I don't think anyone does that well in war, but I would definitely hide. I think I'd just hide. I'd be like, I don't know, find a tree stump. I don't know. I mean, it was a lot.
Once it got started, you were really into it, especially the combat. Combat portion. Once we got over the climbing through the bush and really into the...
Although you ran out of bullets, I did not.
I ran out 3 times in the span of 10 minutes. So I might have I don't know.
Yeah. I was a sharpshooter. I aim just one and just peg them. No, it never reached anyone. I think I just got a few trees.
That's okay. That's a target, right? We weren't counting if it was people or targets. To be clear for the audience, so that it doesn't get flagged, these were paintball combat.
Yes, they were. They were paintball. It was all virtual or paintball. It was interesting, and it was great getting to know you in that format because I feel like it was pretend high stress, I guess.
I think that what I felt really was It was the decisions that you were making, folks who were out in the field, who have been sleeping in tents and, truly eating rations every
Yeah.
day for 3 days and living and breathing in cold, then it went a
Yeah.
little bit warmer. They were dependent or, simulation wise, dependent
Yeah.
on information that we gathered and gave to them.
That's right.
So if you think about what we do day in and day out, and one thing that I tell my team on a regular basis is we don't save lives. We're here to make them better, right?
Yes.
I'm not a doctor. I'm not a surgeon. I'm not in the military, which they would be saving lives.
And you just seem like you have that demeanor or that work ethic of you're going to work really hard, but you're also going to laugh along the way.
I think for me, laughter is a medicine, right?
Yeah.
It's something that you need in stressful times. It's something that you need in sad times, and it's something that you need in happy times. And to be able to create a space that is balanced.
Yes.
Especially in times of stress or uncertainty, we still need to realize that we are human at the end of the day, and that it's so incredibly important to humanize our team members, our peers, and what better way to do that than through making small jokes here there at an appropriate time, right? Obviously, you need to know your audience. You need to, and the way that you bring humor into things is different depending on that audience. And sometimes you're a little bit more witty and sarcastic, and that's funny. And sometimes you're trying to land jokes, or even coming into this, I was in a global meeting with all of my my managers that work across the globe, and I was like, so guys, I'm gonna go and try and be funny. Yeah. And just the way that I was building it up and talking about it. Yeah. And it was, I have a great relationship with my team. I have a great relationship with my peers. And I think that that's critical in making sure that you have a fun environment, right? One of our core values is have fun and energetic.
Oh, and I love that.
So it's important that we bring that, or try to bring that, into everything that we do. We work hard, you play hard. That's what my husband always says, right? Yeah. Work hard, play hard. And that's important to bring in the workplace as well. It's not just about a work-life balance, right? So it's really important.
Yeah, it has to be. So do you have a favorite joke? I know you were stewing over this.
Gosh. I ChatGPT'd this, all about AI. Right?
Chat GPT does not know jokes. It doesn't know how to write them.
It doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
so I got some good ones from ChatGPT actually. Mm-hmm. Well, they're not that funny. And I'll share a little bit about my humor, and maybe we can laugh about that. But so my kid's joke was, what do you call, because I needed help.
Yeah.
What do you call a bear with no teeth, Mom?
What?
And I said, I don't know. And they said, a gummy bear.
That's pretty cute.
So, yeah, it's cute. I mean, joke wise, not too sure.
It's a child. Why are you so hard on your kid?
I'm not. I thought it was good. They were helping me. Why did the scarecrow get promoted?
Why?
Because he was outstanding in his field.
Wow. Okay. We're going to move on. No, I'm kidding.
Well, so here's the thing. We're going to judge Mel for a second here. I laugh at things that happen to people as long as they don't get hurt.
Okay.
So there are times that you could come to my house and I might be scrolling on Facebook or Instagram or Threads, and I am dying laughing. Literally, like sometimes my asthma kicks in, and you know what I had to deal with the thing. Yeah. So my asthma will kick in. I'm laughing so hard at some of these people who've made not right decisions and ended up.
Yeah. I often laugh. Like, some of my favorite things is just to watch, animals, cats failing at jumping, or like I think we all laugh at all that. Come on. A cat swatting a kid. Come on. Hilarious.
Yeah, like right at the back of the head. Like that's,
Or that little kid who falls off his bike and then just gets up and starts doing the cha-cha. You're like, life's good. Yeah.
Have you seen the video of the kid that goes down the slide and it's kind of like a curved slide and he's just like a ping pong back and forth? Oh, that's
Yes.
that's one of my favorites.
See, and you know what? It's just getting in your laughs as it's as
It's so
important as
important.
getting in your steps. So you want to get
Absolutely.
those. Yeah. So do you find when you're leading with your teams, I'm it's so curious. I'm going to get to like the culture part of it because you're dealing with
Mm,
so many different cultures, which I find
yeah.
so interesting. But so when you are dealing with your team, do you find that humor or having team building days like you are, and maybe on a lighter level than the military kind of stuff, but are you finding it helps with like team cohesion and collaboration and all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, I think what it does is it just builds it builds relationships,
Yeah.
right? And it creates a different dynamic of a relationship than just work or hierarchy or it creates more of a balance, right? And even looking back at Gasparotto is about bringing everybody to the same level, right? Their whole motto from the outside the wire is chew the same dirt.
Right.
And when you can use humor in such a way that it allows everybody to be equal on the same playing field and build a level of comfort,
Yeah.
which helps build that relationship of trust, right? So that
Yeah.
when things do go awry, or when things, there's going to be times that stuff sucks and there's going to be
Yeah.
times that things are hard.
Yeah.
So making sure that when they're not sucky or hard, that you have the ability to have a little bit of that fun and balance
Right.
that out so that you're able to handle it a little bit differently. And to your point, like team cohesion is so cohesiveness is extremely important.
Yeah.
And making sure I use myself as the main point of humor, right? So I try to make, to me, that feels like a safe space. I don't want
Yeah.
to insult anyone. And sometimes, like I said earlier, like it's all about the balance. So I definitely don't want to insult anyone. So I use myself, I put myself on that out on the limb, and I'm the point of laughter, and I try and do that. But that demonstrates vulnerability.
Absolutely. Like you never want to, punch down. I've said this over and over on
Yeah.
this podcast, and just you saying that is you saying, yeah, I'll take it for the team. I'll make fun of me and,
Yeah.
everyone, but it allows people to be themselves. And I think that's so important when we're trying to get people to bring their best selves to the job. You didn't
Absolutely.
you didn't hire someone so that they were able to be like everyone else. You hired them so they can be themselves. And I think that's humor really lends to that and allows people to do that.
Absolutely. I want, there's going to be days that we have to wake up when we have to go to work. But I
Hmm.
really try and create a culture within my team that through osmosis, feeds out, and others. I see my peers doing it as well, where we want people to feel like they get to come to work versus they have to come to work.
Yes, I
And
love
it's
that.
like it's so important that we have to create that environment of growth and development and trust and honesty. And I think humor is a big portion of that because it it alleviates tension on situations, or just the constant rigidness that work can feel like. We're
Yeah.
getting stuff done, and that's great, but let's just take a break from all of that, right? And let's laugh about some of the lessons learned, and let's grow and grow together, and just share personally. And that helps us be connected a little bit differently as well when you're able to do that.
And so much of your work remote still for most of
I,
the
So for me, yes, as a global leader, kind of a little bit more strategic,
yeah,
right? Leading at 30,000 feet for the most part. Um, I do spend. I'm hybrid, so I'm 2 days in the office in our Barrie
right.
headquartered off location. And I do have some managers there, but like I said, I get to do the world tour, right? So I have managers in Costa Rica that I work with, and then they have people who are on site. So our facilitators and our training is all on site
Oh, amazing.
for
Yeah.
the most part, but we
Hmm.
live in more of a virtual environment when we're bringing when we all come together as a team.
Right. And how do you use humor in your leadership style?
Well, I think that goes back to kind of what I said earlier. It's about showcasing myself and putting myself in a
Yeah.
vulnerable position, whether it's, this week earlier, I kind of talked to my team about how I thought it was this week I learned how to clean a barbecue. And I also learned that I will never learn how to clean a barbecue again. And I will just hire somebody to do that because that was a tough job. Let me tell you,
Yeah.
for those folks who
Yeah.
might be watching that clean barbecues on the regular, kudos to you. Because that shit was hard.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, it's just me. I just try and create an environment where I'm just another person, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes, especially in different cultures that I respect a lot, titles are a level of respect that's provided or viewed in kind of an authoritative role, and it's it's still making sure that I'm respecting that view and their perspective and their respect that they give to the title, while also still showcasing that I'm a human being.
Yeah.
And that's how I like to bring humor in is through that, or funny things that happen between me and other team members, and we share those stories
Those
that I ask for
moments.
permission to do, right? So, and that's an important part in humor. You have to ask if you share a moment with someone, it's
Yeah.
important to ask permission to share that to a broader group, right? Because maybe they don't want to be put on the spot. And you talked earlier about you don't want to punch somebody down, I think was what you had said.
Yeah. You don't want to punch down. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to punch down. And that's part of it, is making sure that you are respectful of what they prefer in
Yes.
public settings, right? Not everybody likes to be recognized
Yes.
in a public setting or have stories shared. So,
I didn't know that. No, I'm kidding.
but
I'm
no,
like,
you're
what?
right.
Oh, no, no.
I absolutely hate podcasts, by the way, and here you forced me to. No, I'm
Oh, I
kidding.
love it. So good. It's so
I'm not a
good.
public speaker at all.
Well, you're doing pretty good. That's all I'm going to say. Well, you know what? But what you're saying really leads to, how we're using humor and staying professional, and
Mm-hmm.
consent is a huge part of that in life,
Yep.
asking that permission. But also, for me, it's not about telling the next best joke. It's really about not taking ourselves so seriously and bringing that
Yes.
to everything we're doing, which is going to
Yep.
make us more innovative and more, exploratory and allow us to take those risks that leads to better business.
It's a big confidence builder, right? Like when you build those different connections with people, it just leads to you're going out there, then you know where you could potentially get additional information. You feel like you're comfortable with a certain person, that makes you confident and feeling not judged in certain
Yes.
situations as well, because you have that balanced type of relationship just through small things like small little jokes here or there that are not insulting.
Yeah.
I think you said it best earlier, when it kind of eases a little bit of what we do on a regular basis, and it just adds a little bit of just character to your
Helps
day.
break the tension for sure.
Break the tension. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
How are you finding it, like when you are in Costa Rica or India or any of, like, when you're really dealing with huge culture differences, a lot of the
Yeah.
time, are you finding any sort of common ground in terms of humor there?
Yeah. So I like to observe, right? So I take it in before I immediately go in and react. And I think that that's extremely important to do, especially when you're kind of integrating yourself into a different culture and you're coming into their home. It's like
Yeah.
going into anybody else's home. Is you want to feel what it's like. You want to be respectful and you want to honor, the rules and the culture. So taking time to observe is extremely important. I have gone in and made some jokes that make sense when English is your first language, but perhaps don't translate into Spanish that well. So they
Yeah.
haven't landed. And I felt that moment of like, you kind of get red in the face being like, oh goodness,
Yeah.
all right, that one didn't land. And then I literally say that, right? Okay, so that wasn't a good one. We'll try another
I
one
love
another
that.
time,
Yes.
just to make it comfortable, right? Again,
Acknowledge it.
vulnerability.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay, we're just going to
Yeah.
move on. I'll find another way. Open to feedback, guys. How can I make this, So share
Yeah.
with me what I can do better and differently. And, I think anybody working with multiple cultures, it's extremely important to do that. is to observe and digest and do that with an open mind, to be willing to adapt. It's not all about you expecting someone to adapt to you. You need to be flexible and adapting to other people as well, right? So
Yeah.
years ago, I read this amazing book when I was working at my previous organization called Say Anything to Anyone, Anywhere. And it
Ooh.
talks about, it's probably within my nerdy library of books. These are my current books that I'm reading. Yeah,
Such a
they're somewhere.
nerd.
I am. I love it though. There's nothing
Yeah.
wrong with it. You got to keep learning.
You're a mom of two. And you're executive. Like, how do you find time to read?
You got to
Yeah.
make the time, right?
Yeah.
So so we have book clubs at work, which are fantastic. We're reading Good Power right
Wow.
now. There's a group of women on our executive team that are coming together, led by our CEO, our executive chairman, and we're reading Good Power. And this is really where we get to talk about resilience and vulnerability in the workplace. And another fantastic a book
Yeah.
as well. A couple of these I've read a couple of times, but it's really, I reference them back and I'm like, oh, okay, you know what? I remember something in this chapter, and I might not read it chapter for chapter, by the way. I might jump around a
Skim.
book unless it's
Yeah.
a story,
Yeah.
because I just want to pull bits and pieces from it. And then there's times that I'll go back and I'll read the full thing. So you gotta invest in yourself. If you're not learning,
Yeah.
then that's when we start to fail, right? You got to continue learning. So important.
Absolutely. Because you've been working at this company for 5 years. Like, that was
Yeah.
like so much pandemic time for you. I
It
can't, it's just,
was very interesting. Yes.
yeah. And just like keeping your team together during those times. But do you find like the humor is darker in those times when, it's more stressful or?
Yes, but I think that also builds a different type of connection.
Yeah.
Right. And I think it's important that we share. So, pandemic. This is story time now. Is that
Go
okay? Can we go
on.
there?
Yay. Yes, please.
All right.
Hi, it's Kate. I can't believe you made it halfway through the show. Look, if you or anyone you know would like to be a guest on Humor in the C-Suite, I would love to have you. So email me, kate@katedavis.ca.
So we were 3 weeks into the pandemic. I'm at this company. I started in January of 2020. March, everything shut down.
Yeah.
I came into the organization with a 1, 3, and 5 year plan, and here I am executing on my 3 year plan, which was all things virtual, right?
Yeah.
But we're doing it 8 weeks in, 9 weeks in to me working there. And so I have 2 kids at home. One is 4 and one is 2. And it was not easy. Let me tell you, there's no daycare. The 4-year-old was pulled out of kindergarten. And, now I have 2 children who are just trying to figure out their way while I'm working a new job. I didn't even have an office at home because we were on site. So I was sitting at my dining room table, just surviving. And I remember it was my first deadline. It was performance reviews. I had to get them done on a certain time. And it's like time crunch. I'm hammering through these things. My husband had a office down in the basement and he's down working away. And I had my head down for a good hour and a half and the kids were just playing and they were laughing. And that's how I monitored them through their voices, right? And I look up and Kate from one end of my house in the kitchen all the way past my dining room, past my living room, out to the front of the house was flour. And I mean a Costco bag size of flour.
No.
And it was everywhere. And I walk in to the playroom and they had a play kitchen. I have this on video, by the way, of when I walked in to the play area. And I was like, what are you doing? They're like, we're making you a cake, okay? I'm like, okay, it'll dry. It'll dry, Mom. It's okay. And they used water and there is just goop everywhere in this playroom, all down the kitchen. And in the moment, I'm not going to lie, when they walked away, I was so proud of them, right? Good job. You're making a great cake. And then when they walked away and I started cleaning, the tears came.
Yeah.
How am I going to handle this? How am I going to manage this? Like, this is a lot of work. It's a pandemic and we're new in it, right?
Yeah.
But now looking back, and sharing that story with my team, because they were going through the same thing. They helped me find the humor in that.
Yes.
Right? Because having somebody else's perspective, when you're in it, it can feel a lot heavier and a lot darker. But having somebody else be like, oh, look at that video. You were covered in flour. You didn't even know. And they're laughing. And that helps you lighten the mood on that.
Absolutely.
So that's just one example. I have many.
I remember coming in and my kids were cleaning the wall. And I was like, that's so nice. You're cleaning the wall. And then I realized they were cleaning the wall with baby oil. I'm like, no. Yeah. And then I wanted to start a game show just for parents, just called What the Hell Is That on the Wall? So
yeah, absolutely. I would have so many pictures to submit to that. We can start that now. Maybe it's like a look back.
I think we should. Yeah, absolutely.
Throwback Thursdays. What is on the wall? Pictures from the pandemic.
You actually lived one of your videos that you love to watch. Just says flour everywhere. I'm like, oh my god.
It was.
Yeah.
And slippery, right?
Yeah.
Like, how did they not fall? I don't even know. Oh my
gosh.
The full bag. You guys know, come on, like a Costco bag of flour, like can't even fit in the street.
Yeah.
It was, but they were baking that cake and they were so proud.
Oh, so you couldn't even get mad. I love it. And now it's a good story and a great laugh. And that's what it comes down to, right? Have you found that humor has really made you a better person somehow?
Yes.
Yeah.
How could it not? I think it's not just about the humor. It's about how you receive it too, right?
Yes.
It brings a lightheartedness to everything that you do. And I think that smiling and laughing and enjoying things and trying to see the best in it. And that's what humor is trying to make light of tough situations respectfully, right? At the right time. And it's really just makes you a happier person. It brings joy. And I think it's so important for people to have that in their lives. And everyone has a different sense of humor. So getting to know that and learn about people, it's just we all laugh.
Yeah.
What we laugh at is what makes us different. So learn that about people, right? It's a common trait, but what kind of causes you to laugh could be a little bit different. So it's a great personality.
And it's fun getting to know people on that level, because it really does show a different side than, if someone's just doing, analysis or data entry and stuff like that. Really getting to know them when they're in such a dry work environment is actually a lot of fun.
So obviously we had to spend a lot of time together in 3 days, a short period of time. We had to get to know each other very well.
She had to sleep in the same. And I tried, I bought a nose thing for my snoring.
It didn't work, guys.
It did not work.
It did not work. No. Well, or I was saying, I learned the way you think through your facial expressions.
Oh, me, yeah. I can't even hide them.
No, you can't. And it was so amazing.
Okay, I gotta give this some context, I guess.
Context.
Because we're getting ready to go in the field. It's super hyped. It's 2 a.m, 3 a.m. We've been up doing our covert operations in our situation room.
Oh.
And then we're like, okay, this is your 5-minute warning. Get ready. So we're 8 layers loaded up. It's cold out. We're going to the field. We're in combat. And I didn't even bring proper shoes. Just the worst. Anyway, so I go, I have all my stuff there, and then it's just all gone. My coat, my gloves.
All gone. A lot of it is, yeah.
A lot of it. We had little, they call them pennies. We were the green team. We were wearing our green team, stuff. But I couldn't find anything. And this huge, 6'5" ex-cop, who's lovely, Nate is his name. He's just bagging all my shit. And I'm like, dude, I was so mad Because now I'm running around trying to look, and we're like, we're leaving. Like it's military. It's like, we gotta go. I'm like, I can't leave without my stuff.
So for the audience who's listening, she's very serious about this. And I respectfully could not take her seriously.
No one can take me seriously.
I was, she was not happy for sure. But you handled yourself well. You did find your pin, and you were right about it, by the way. It was
getting gaslit. This guy just bagged on my stuff by accident. We were all tired. I get it. But anyway, yeah, no, my life is on my face. I can't hide anything. I can't. I'm the worst poker player. I don't have a poker face.
So you probably don't know this. I was standing in the back with Nate.
Yes.
And you were close up to the front, to the map, and you were just intently listening. And it was you are now leading us, right? Because I'm not listening anymore. I'm laughing at watching you. I had to walk away at one point because I was being disruptive to the group, because you just it was just so serious. And you were not. I can tell. I've learned about you, like I said earlier.
Yeah,
we got to learn very quickly. Yeah. When there's a serious topic we're talking about, I can feel the genuine shift, right?
Yeah.
And there's genuine empathy, and I think that's really important to highlight, because as somebody who, I was nervous coming in and being like, oh man, I'm gonna be with a comedian. I'm not funny at all. Like, how is this gonna be managed? Yeah. How am I gonna do? But, we connected right from day one. And I will say, just you intently looking at that, I couldn't take you. It's an experience, right? That whole Outside the Wire, what they put together is outstanding. What I mentioned earlier was one of the bigger takeaways for me is they're truly life or death decisions that you're making out there. And communication is key. Teamwork and trust is so incredibly important in those environments, not just for us, but what I observed with the blue and orange teams. Mm-hmm. The way that even the way I met them on Monday early in the morning, and I know you guys started a little bit earlier when I wasn't there, but the way that I met them on Monday morning and the way that they were together on Tuesday
was totally different.
It was totally different. Yeah. And there's something that has to be said about living a true life simulation for 3 days. We didn't break character in the evenings.
No.
When it was done, sure, we played dice, and of course we had a couple of drinks.
A lot of the time I was like, why did I say yes to this? Because I'm just like, I want to go see a comedy show. No, but it was really interesting, and it really gave you thought for people like in Ukraine, and people who are actually fighting wars, and not because, or in Gaza, or, or in Sudan, or anywhere, all those people who are just forced into combat because someone has, decided to be jerks and not share, I know it's more complicated than that. All my listeners are like, stop it. Coming from a comedy perspective and a humor perspective, I always try and know that there's a time and a place for everything. And life and death situations. A lot of time the humor is dark. A lot of the time it does come through. But even in those chill times, you can, just put a funny thing in your email. Have a funny signature to say, not that I'm going to tell you the next best book, but I do have a sense of humor, and you can come to me and be yourself. And, and I think there are ways to show that you can actually, bring humor into our lives in those crazy situations. But no, I cannot hide anything, guys. It's right here. I never could. So, as a kid, but I was always that kid. If I was in trouble, I'd laugh, cry laugh. And that drove grownups and adults insane. They would literally lose their minds at me because I just couldn't help it.
I laugh when I'm in pain.
Do you? Yes.
I do. So it's almost maybe more, right? You live and breathe in this space, but it almost feels as though laughing releases this type of
endorphins
chemical. When I was in labor with my first, my dad and my husband had to go to the get to car. I was confirmed like in labor. I'm like, oh, I'm going to walk this. It's fine. It's early, right?
Yeah.
So I'm at the hospital in downtown Toronto, and that's sometimes a questionable space down there, right? Well, not questionable, but like it's just a lot of different audiences and people and those type of things. So I'm in the lobby of the revolving door of the entrance of the hospital, not the emergency section, but just like a generalized entrance. And they're gone. It's 11 o'clock at night, and I'm getting contractions. And those handles in a hospital, they're for a reason. They're to hold on to if you're having contractions, that's for sure.
Uh-huh.
So I'm holding on to this and I'm laughing through it. And the security guard is like, are you okay? Like, do I need to call anybody? I'm like, I'm going to be fine. This is hilarious. It's like, he's like, this doesn't seem funny. Like, it makes me feel better, right? But it does. It releases that, like, if I stub my toe, I laugh. And, it's interesting because I see that in my kids now.
Oh, I love that.
Right?
Yeah.
If it's not too painful, if it's not, thank goodness, knock on wood, nothing serious has happened to any of us.
Absolutely.
But it's the, they stub their toe or they jam their finger and it hurts for a second, but you're going to be okay. So they laugh through it. And that's something I'm proud to instill, not just,
I love that.
In my kids, but, in others too around.
You're teaching them. Yeah. Things pass. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I love that. So so we always end the podcast with what's the funniest thing that's ever happened to you?
Oh gosh.
Oh,
so I did research on this.
Oh, really? Do you say?
So I messaged my good friend Madeline. Shout out to Madeline. She's been through all the good times with me, all the funny times, and all the bad times. So she started reaming off quite a few. Because I was like, what's the funniest thing that you remember that's happened to me? Help me here. Like, what did you laugh at the most? And she must have sent me about 6 yesterday. A couple I can't talk about on a professional podcast. So we'll leave those for a personal phone call later. So I had done this thing where I decided to dye my hair purple.
Oh.
And I thought that it was a good idea. And you know what? It looked good. It did. So it was the same day that I had dyed my hair purple. And my hairdresser and his partner were going to Cuba, and I was driving them to Cuba. And at the time, I don't know if you guys remember, I don't know, maybe it still exists. In downtown Toronto, they used auto share. So you got a card, a membership, and you just tapped it and you booked the car and you got to use it. So we used auto share, and I drove them to the airport. And on the way back, it started to snow. So I had quite a walk to get to my apartment. So I walk in, and the security guard is like, oh, like, you all right? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. I get in the elevator and all of the purple has dripped all over my face. And I mean full purple. And it was dye that didn't stick to my hair, but sticked well to my face.
No!
So we could not get that dye off for days. I actually didn't go into work. I worked remotely for 2 days, trying to scrub this purple off. So that was one of
you Giuliani'd
the
it.
funniest.
It's like a Giuliani moment. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the other one that I have to share real quick, and you can choose which one you want to edit in or keep in or what have you.
Staying. Go on.
She took me for my birthday to Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, Scotiabank Arena. Fantastic concert. As I'm leaving, I'm frantically text messaging, somebody, we want to go out afterwards. Okay, I'm going to meet up with you. I'm not paying attention. And we're walking through, in the Scotiabank Arena, there's those kind of like stairwells. Yeah. They get pretty packed when there's an event going on. Well, I'm looking down at my phone, not paying attention. Hundreds of people behind me, if not thousands. And I walk into a sign, and the sign and it goes, it makes that boing, 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 boing sound. And obviously egghead, but everybody in the whole stairwell can hear it and seeing it happen behind me. So that was quite an embarrassing moment as well.
Where people are
memory.
Like,
I don't want to call it embarrassing. Yeah, it was it was full outbreak of laughter, right? It's like watching somebody walking down the street, walking into a telephone pole because you're texting.
Yeah.
What did you learn from the lesson, Melissa? Don't text and walk.
Yes.
Like, not a good idea, right?
No.
So,
wow. Those are good stories. I like it.
Yeah.
I've had so much fun having you on.
Look, we could just talk for hours, I think.
I think so. No, but so much insight. I love all the shares, and I love how you're, bringing that to on a global scale, your leadership style, and really incorporating humor into all those moments and letting people be themselves and bringing the best part of themselves to the work, and
Absolutely.
to the job, and to creating those meaningful relationships through that. So I'm so grateful for your time and that you came on Humor in the C-Suite. Thank you, Mel. Where can people find you?
LinkedIn, I'm on there. You want to connect. Meeting you has been just an additional kind of benefit to me, and learning from you and watching you. And
love it.
You're so comfortable to be around, and it's fantastic. So,
thanks. That's so nice.
I'll see you guys on LinkedIn then.